Hello everyone, welcome back to Angie and Family. Today my husband and I have for you some Efo Riro, which is a spinach stew from Nigeria. So I just wanted to let you know the ingredients, which is going to be some fresh spinach, some tomato, some red pepper, and some
Using
meat
salt, no
or,
MSG.
poultry, beef, shrimp of your choice. You're going to wash the meat and put it into a pressure cooker, and you're going to
A
season
little bit
it
of sea salt.
very generously with some salt, some seasoning salt, and some Maggi. You can use the Maggi cube or you can use the liquid Maggi like we're
Okay.
using here. And you really want to season it well because you're going to be adding
Maggi
some water
seasoning.
and you're going to be pressure cooking the life out of this. So you're going to season it well and you're going to put it in the pressure cooker for maybe 20 minutes once it comes up to full pressure, and you're just going to let it go for about 20 minutes to soften the meat. The meat today that we are using is like a hard chicken from the butcher, and we're also using some beef shank that we got the butcher to cut for us. So once you have the meat all seasoned, you're going to add some water just to the top of the meat, and you're going to put it to
On
pressurize.
the stove.
So you're going to have your burner on max, and you're going to let it go for maybe 20 minutes or so. I will let you know that this meat is enough for 5 people, and there are leftovers for tomorrow. Um, so that
Hot
is
water.
basically what you're seeing.
Put some
And this is the next
salt.
step, which is the spinach. You're going to take the spinach and put it into a pot or a bowl. You're going to rinse it with some water, and you're going to fill the spinach pot with water just to cover the spinach, and you're going to season liberally
Why
with
not?
some salt.
To make it to flavor
Once you
the
have the
spinach.
salt in, you
Add
can
some
just sort of
MSG.
massage it in so that the salt is all dispersed throughout the water, and you're going to set the spinach to cook on maximum heat until the spinach is really wilted down and boiled down. So you're going to put a lid on it and you're going to let that go for maybe about 10 or 15 minutes, and I'll show you later in the video what the end result is. Those tomatoes and pepper, one pepper and several tomatoes, you're going to chop it up finely and you're going to add that to a blender. You may need to blend it down just a little bit so that you can fit everything into your blender. And you're also going to need one medium-sized onion, whether that's red or just the regular yellow onion, and Scotch bonnet. Um, Usually my husband will add several, but because the kids were eating it and I'm not really a fan of too much spice, we used one. And these Scotch bonnet peppers were extremely spicy, more so than normal, so we only used one. But you're going to put all of the onion, pepper, tomato, and Scotch bonnet into a blender, and you're going to pulse it until everything is thoroughly blended. Once everything is blended, you can set it aside and move on to the next step, which is going to be removing the, well, the spinach is still cooking, but you're going to end up removing that from the burner, and you're going to end up removing your pressure cooker from the burner to let the pressure come out of the pot. Say hello. Hi. Once your pot is warm, you can add the stew, the tomatoes, into a pot on high heat. And you want to keep an eye on it so that you don't burn the tomatoes, and just let it go for a few minutes. That is how your spinach should end up looking once it's complete. And you're going to want to take it out of the water and put it in a strainer and really strain all of that water. You'll be surprised how much water comes out of that little bit of spinach, but it is quite a bit. So to avoid having a mushy stew or overly watery stew, you really want to strain all of the water out of the spinach.
It's funny how 3 bags of spinach turns into one tiny little clump.
Keep on straining. It's not done.
Oh, you almost lost some.
Once your spinach is done straining, you can go ahead and set that aside. You can put it on a little plate or in a bowl, and just wait for your stew to come up to being cooked. It usually takes around 20 minutes or so for it to fully boil down. You want it to reduce and get nice and thick and flavorful. So that chicken that we pressurized in the pressure cooker, you'll see all those juices and everything at the bottom and all the fat that came out of it. You're going to take those chicken and beef, whatever meat that you're using, and you're going to bring it over to your deep fryer. So we have our deep fryer preheating, and we're going to take the pieces of chicken and beef and we're going to deep fry them. This is not a healthy recipe, so you know, everything in moderation, but you're going to take the meat, you're going to put it into the deep fryer, and you're going to fry it until crispy. So let that go. Usually takes about anywhere between 8 and 10 minutes per basket full of meat. There it is, going to get golden delicious.
Set aside the oil.
You might want to preserve all of the juices that came out of the pressure cooker. Should in case your stew be too thick in the end, you can just add a little bit of that juice because it's so full of flavor and the seasonings. And you'll see the tomato stew, it got nice and thick and it's ready to go, and add all of your delicious meat and spinach. So that's how the meat should look. You can make it a little bit more brown than that if you'd like, or if not, that's totally fine. What you're going to do in the meanwhile is get another pot and add maybe half a cup or so of vegetable sunflower oil, some sort of neutral oil, to get very hot. You want it to be very hot. Once the oil gets hot, you can test it like that, and you can add your tomato stew to it. You want to fry the tomato stew. So once it's in there, you can, you know, let it go for another maybe 10, 15 so minutes, 20 minutes before you add in everything else. And be careful because this is going to be like lava. You really want to make sure that you put a lid on it and you let it cook down. So that is what the stew should look like after you're done. Oh, and I caught somebody sneaking some meat while we were waiting. But you really want to make sure that you're careful because those parts of the oil, that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see a little bit of oil around the edges, and you want to make sure that your stew is nice and cooked and flavorful. And at this point, you can add some more Maggi and some salt, and really bring that stew up to your standard of flavoring. And it all depends on how you like it. We like it very flavorful. And at this point, you can go ahead and add your spinach. You can also go ahead and add in, well, actually at this point you're going to add your spinach. You're going to let it cook down for another 5 minutes or so. Just really let that spinach incorporate into the stew. You're going to stir it around, and then after that you can add your meat of choice. There you go, you can add your meat. Make sure that you add the meat in after the spinach has had a chance to cook in with the stew. We're going to be keeping some of the meat aside because it makes a wonderful thing to just sort of snack on with your gari, which is what my husband likes to do in the evening time. So make sure that you just don't overcrowd the pot, and you can add whatever. Like I said, you could add shrimp, you could add crayfish, you could add fish, you could add beef like we did, turkey, chicken. It's all up to you what you'd like to add to this. Once you have everything in the pan, in the pot, you can go ahead and give it a stir, and it's pretty much done. We like to let it sit simmering for maybe another 20 minutes or so. Nigerian food takes a really long time usually to prepare. A lot of waiting for the flavors to just come together. But you know what? It's a labor of love, and it is so amazing once you're finally done cooking it. So this is the pounded yam. Ola Ola is the brand that we get here. We're in Canada, and it's imported from Nigeria. So it's basically yam that's been like really milled. So what you're going to do is bring up some water to a boil, and again, this was 5 very generous portions. And what you're going to do is pour the powder into the water, constantly stirring. You want to keep it moving, or you're going to end up with lumpy, bumpy pounded yam. So you want to keep moving. Once it gets incorporated and there's no more powder showing, you just keep stirring. And towards the end, you can take your spoon and you can just sort of pound it off the sides of the pot, and it will make for a really smooth texture, almost like instant mashed potatoes, but a lot thicker. If you've never had this before, that's sort of the best way I can describe it for you. You're going to see a picture at the end of what it turns out to be. So you just really want to make sure that you are stirring this and you're sort of pounding it like you see in this picture. And this is it, Efo Riro, which is spinach stew. That's the end result, and let me tell you, this was absolutely delicious. Hands down, one of the best meals we've ever made. Thanks for watching.